have Let's Resin done it again and produced an absolutely incredible machine. It's really cool. They've spent over a year developing this. Just with the wheel alone, that's a huge difference. Right, we are back and we have a brand new product on the market for us resin users. Have Let's Resin done it again and produced an absolutely incredible machine. So this is the new 4-in-1 electric resin sanding and polishing machine. It comes with loads of accessories. I've had a quick look in the box, but I've not actually turned the machine on or done anything with it. So we are going to do an unboxing, and we're also going to see what this little bit of kit can do. And it's not as big as I thought it would be. When Let's Resin sent me a message asking me if I wanted to try this machine, I was expecting it to be a lot bigger. This is really compact. It really is quite nice. So we have the instruction manual. I don't know whether you want to pause there on the features, but we'll run through some of this as well as we go along. So it's a really smart bit of kit because you can use it as a handheld device, or you can also use it, comes in this stand that the machine actually locks into. So yeah, I mean, you've got lots of accessories in there, but Let's Resin have already done quite an in-depth video on this on their YouTube channel, so I'll pop that video in the description because I'm probably going to miss some stuff, and their video is really good. But I wanna give you a kind of hands-on, like me using this. I mean, my hands, it's not just me saying this to try and get you to go and buy this bit of kit, because we're probably going to get maybe some pros and cons. But my hands really do struggle with sanding small cabochons. They're not the same as they used to be, and they do ache for quite a while afterwards. So I'm hoping this thing is going to save me a bit of time and potentially money in the long run, because if this works as good as I think it could work, I mean, I could just polish my cabochons from dull molds instead of keep buying them. I know we do the dipping. That's great for UV resin, but not so much with epoxy, because you don't really want to dip an epoxy piece into UV resin. So we have lots of different grades sandpaper. Again, Let's Resin video kind of runs through all of that. I don't really want to copy what they've done in their video, but you do get lots of these, and I presume they are going to be selling these as spares. But I think you can buy these from most hardware stores, like in sheets, and you can probably cut them down. We have quite a few different pads there for the machine. We have another pack here. These are for the bigger pad, which is this one, I do believe. So you stick that one to there, make sure it's centered, and then you'd stick those ones to that. And this is like a foam pad, so that takes out some of the vibration when you're using it, and it also shapes quite nicely around, say, your cabochons or what you're working on. So we have those. We have a USB-C charging cable. So this device, it has the USB-C charging. So this is how you charge the machine. But the smart thing is it also comes with an adapter. So this plugs into there, so you've got continuous use. So yeah, I think that's pretty handy. I think it's 2 to 3 hours on battery. So looking at the device there, we have the DC input, we have the USB-C charging. Again, there's going to be a lot of safety stuff with this device, and Let's Resin really do stress on that in this really good manual here. I have spotted one mistake in this though, which is pretty funny. I'll show you in a moment. It made me chuckle. So we have some vents here. We're gonna have to be really careful not to get any water into these vents, because with sanding resin you don't want to do it dry, because it will just, yeah, you don't want to be breathing that stuff in. You wear a mask anyway, but if that dust settles on your surface and you disturb it at a later date, you don't want to be breathing that in. So yeah, we do need to be spraying water with this device as well, so you don't want to be spraying it into these vents, so just be careful with that. So that is a device. We'll go through the power features and the turning the machine on, which I haven't done yet. So here we have the stand, and this is a grinding cover, which we'll have a look at shortly. So this just opens and closes, so this locks in the device. You can see that groove there, well, groove, got the groove in the on the device itself, and that just sits on that platform, and then that just clicks shut. It's really cool. They've spent over a year developing this, and that just keeps it sturdy. And then you've got this base here, so we can rest stuff on as we're going, or you can also, if you're grinding, with the push of a button here, this then slides out, so then you've got more room when it comes to using the grinder or the polisher. So yeah, I think this is really smart. So going back to what else is in the box, this is obviously the pad for this one, for the smaller discs. Again, it's foam, and you've got all of those which go on there. We have, if I can get it out, the grinding wheel. I can see this lasting quite a while, to be honest, but there's going to be lots of different things that we can do with this, not necessarily with just your resin, with your jewelry hardware, for instance. I mean, I've got some, not for the grinding, but for the polishing. Some of them, where it's been in my drawer for a while, it's discolored. It'd be really easy just to have this set up with my other equipment to the side of me and just give it a quick polish. And this is the cotton polishing disc. It looks really good quality, I'm not gonna lie. It should last a while, and you'd use this alongside. What I'm gonna do, you've seen me do this on the channel before, I used the pink stuff. It's a cream cleaner. I think this is about £1 in the UK, if that. You'll probably pick it up cheap in the US as well from your local supermarket store. Yeah, I'm gonna try it with that on this and just see how good I can bring up a piece with that polishing. That's the key for me, I think, with having this machine, is going to be the ability to have this set up next to me, and just whenever I need to, instead of getting my sandpaper out and just doing everything by hand, I can just quickly, with a push of a button, turn this on, give it a quick sand. It takes seconds, and then if I'm dipping with UV resin, I can dip that. Or if my mold is dull, sometimes I might not even need to do the dipping. I can just switch this on and give it a quick polish. And with this stuff, I think it will take about a minute, if that. So yeah, we might not even have to go through all the grades of these, for instance, with what we use, what we make on our channel, but you can on bigger stuff. I want to try the grinder. You might remember this piece from a couple of videos ago I made. I didn't really clean up the sides. You can see those lips, so I'm going to try and just bring that down and just see how it handles on this coaster. But you can, like I said, use this as a handheld, and you can take off, you sand down a piece before recoating it. You can get those horrible drip marks off if you've coated the top. Yeah, I think this is going to be, I'm not going to say the word, I think this is going to be a very useful tool for everyone. So going back to the actual stand itself, on the bottom you have these suction pads, and yeah, it just, you can stick it to your surface. I don't know whether this is going to be good enough, because it's not really a flat enough base for this to stick to. So you are going to want something a bit more shiny than my surface for that to stick. But this is my big thick soldering mat, which I use as my kind of craft space. It should stick quite nicely. Yes, it does. It sticks very, very nicely to this. So yeah, we have something that's, sorry for the wobble, I must fix my camera arm. We have something solid for this to, yeah, it's not going to move around on there, which is nice. So back to the actual device itself. Got some more info on the side. Let's turn it on. So power button. Maybe I need to hold it down a little bit longer. There we go. I think that's flashing. The one is flashing. I can see the one flashing on my screen, but the rest of the things around here are flashing on camera, but they're not actually flashing with my eye. So that's just the refresh, the camera shutter speed doing that. So yeah, so we have the one is the power setting. So if we press the spinny button here, that will go up to 3. So we have the 3 power settings. You've also got this red bar showing the number of the speed, and this is because we're in battery mode. If we plugged in the DC cord, the other side would go green, showing that we're on continuous power. So to start the device, once we've selected the correct speed, you just press the power button again. Hello, shiny. So yeah, and it is as simple as just pushing it again to pause it, or changing your speed as you go. Can you change your speed as it's going? Yep, you can also do that. So yeah, you can do this handheld. You can polish smaller pieces, obviously not with the Velcro pad, but with the correct discs on. And yeah, I think we should try it out. And for the actual interchangeable heads, they come off really easy and slot on, so you can interchange with ease really nicely. So on to the bit that made me chuckle. You see this part here, when using sandpaper, please use it from small to large, for example P100 to P240 grit. During the grinding process, you need to use a watering can to continuously spray water on the resin. I mean, I don't understand how watering can come into this, but just a spray bottle of water will help. Again, not spraying it near the actual machine head itself, because we don't want water going into this vent here. So it will just be kind of angled over this, but you don't want to cover this. You might think, oh, I'll cover that vent just to prevent it from getting wet, but you don't really want to do that, because you need that heat to escape. So I think possibly what I would say is, if they did a different version of this, maybe make this part slightly wider so that the vent can still vent out, but it's a bit more protected from any kind of water residue, because you don't want anything going in there, because then you've got a hazard. So yeah, just bear that in mind. You only want to be spraying onto the disc grinder pads from this side. Just be careful. But yeah, that made me chuckle. I was going to bring my watering can from home for a bit of a laugh, but I forgot it. I suppose Let's Resin, you could actually manufacture a mini watering can. Now that, that could work. So as mentioned, PPE, you're going to need your gloves. You're going to need a pair of goggles, because if you're grinding at speed and a piece of resin flicks up, you don't want that going in your eyes. That's going to be possibly a visit to the hospital. And then, of course, you're going to want your mask. A normal dust mask will work, but, just make sure you're protected. So I think what I want to try to begin with is the bigger job, and that is grinding the edges off that coaster. You could always use a deburring tool for jobs like this. It really is that simple. I should have done it whilst the resin was still a bit soft. And this is another really important thing. Only use this piece of kit, only use it on fully cured resin. If your resin isn't fully cured, you're going to ruin the piece even more. It has to be rock solid. A good 7 to 14 days of curing with epoxy to have it that solid. With UV resin, it's a little bit different, because that cures instantly with the UV light. So yeah, I want to see just how well and how quick it kind of takes that down. So I can just slot that. Okay, that's a little bit tougher to get on. Maybe I need to do this when it's not in the machine to line it up with my eye. There we go. And then I can pop that on. So here is the shield. Maybe I should have put the shield on before. No, it doesn't matter. That also, is that locked in? There we go. So that's locked in. So when I turn that on now, I can then, there we go. It's a little bit loud, but it's not It's not deafening. Potentially, the way my brain works also, they could design, I don't think this does come apart anymore, like a little tray that slots in and locks on as well, just to catch any debris. I don't know whether there's much clearance. Wow, that's strong. I don't know whether there's much clearance for a tray on there, but potentially design something that can slot underneath it just to make it a bit easier to clean. But I don't know. Don't know until we try it, do we? So I'm going to voice over the rest because I'm going to be making noise and I need to put my mask on. So here I am. I'm just putting it on the lowest speed possible. I don't think it needs to be on a high speed with this. I'm just spraying the wheel with some water carefully. And yeah, you can see just how easy this is no problem with this at all. This will be ideal for drip marks. It's crazy. And I'm just going to speed this bit up because you don't want to sit and watch me doing this for a few minutes. I mean, that ate away at that like it was butter. It really did. I mean, I know it's not probably the best way of using it, but yeah, that really quickly took those edges off. Of course, it's going to leave this scuffing mark, but you can always go to the sanding discs and work your way down just to bring that up to a good finish. That's impressive. That really is. The way that chewed through that resin was pretty incredible. But yeah, I mean, that's a good test. So it made quite a bit of mess, as you can see, which is why, again, I think some kind of slot on tray might be an idea. I don't know, but it's going to be easy to clean up. It's no biggie. You see the disc, it's quite clogged already, so you are going to have to maintain that. Don't go washing these down the sink though, because you don't want all this microplastics to go down into your waterworks. It's not good for the environment. So yeah, I'd spray that, clean that, and just don't put it down the sink. And I think if we don't clean this up properly, this could cause some issues with this locking in. So I think the easiest way for us for now is just to blast that out with the spray water and just keep it clean that way. And then the excess water that's dripped off, I can mop it up that way. Yeah, it's not too bad. Maybe we don't need the drip tray, but it does say not to get this metal under here wet because it could rust. So I don't know. So like I said to you, it's probably not the best thing to have used the grinding disc for, because you'll see it's left these quite deep marks around the edges. So what I should have done is gone a little bit less heavy-handed, taken off most of it and then moved to the sandpaper discs to bring that down closer to the surface of the side of the resin, because look, you can see. So just, yeah, be a bit more don't be as heavy-handed as Dan. So you may recognize this piece from my last video on here. With most Petri work, we're left with this lip. Again, you can use a deburring tool if you want to take that off afterwards. But I want to see if I can bring that lip down and just finish off that back a little bit better. You could always also just top that up with some more resin just to bring that flush. But sometimes you get really bad imperfections around the edges. So I'm just going to see if I can bring that down flush. So for this, I'm going to be using the bigger disc. It's quite a big piece. I want, you know, I don't want it to be too small. I'm going to use the big one. So I'm going to line that up. Remember, you must use the foam pad on this. Just make sure that's centered. And I'm going to work my way with the grits down to like a polish. So we're going to start with a more coarse grit to begin with, and then we're going to work our way down. So I think I'm going to start with a P100. I don't think it needs to go as coarse as this. This is really, you know, a bit too much. I think I can begin with a P100 on this one. And again, stick that on there, make sure it's centered. Like so. Pop that on there, clamp it in, spray, and again, voice over Dan. Now I think I need to attach this bit for this job. so then it can kind of rest on there and I can take it to the sides and work with it a bit easier. So you'll see as I'm spraying the water on, it does flick it kind of all over the place. So yeah, I do learn to kind of shield it with my hand later on in the video. But you can see that debris. That's why it's really important to wear that mask. And I kind of lose control a couple of times, but it's to be expected. It's a new thing. But I'm just really impressed with how quick this thing does its job. So you'll see that I lost control a couple of times. I mean, I think this is going to happen for a first time use. Plus where I had kind of moisture, water on my fingers, it made it a little bit slippy. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but we've got that kind of, got that lip gone now within seconds, again, maybe a minute. So I can now change that to a lower grip. It did flick a bit of water everywhere, I must say, but I don't think I could have used that with this in place because maybe it's just not much room to play with. Potentially I could have done and then worked on this side. I don't know. It's a learning curve, isn't it? I just want a video, first time opening, first time using, review. So yeah, we can only get used to new equipment, can't we? Can't get any worse. And this definitely helped, holding my hand over as I sprayed the water. A lot less mess and a lot less risk of that water going into the vent on the top of the machine. What I'm also finding easier, I forgot to say that before I changed the grit of the sandpaper, I've just moved down a grit. What I'm finding easier, instead of with maybe moisture on my hands, removing the device to change the pad, I can reach my finger just underneath, make sure obviously the machine is definitely off, and slide off this to then be able to change the pad. I don't want to have to keep unclamping it, changing the pad, clamping it back in. I think it's just easier to slide that off, change it, and then click that back in. So yeah, I'm just moving down on the grits and just keeping the pads wet. I managed to handle it a lot better now. It's not kind of jumping all over the place. It's not going anywhere. A lot more control the more I use it. Yeah, I'm getting the hang of it. Okay, so we started at a P100 and I've gone down to a P2000. I think, to be honest with you, I think I could really potentially, instead of moving down to a more finer grit, I think I could take that straight to the polishing wheel. It's really not too bad compared to what it was in just maybe 5 minutes. Yeah, I think we can polish that up. I want to see how good that pink stuff is with that polishing wheel. Yeah, it's a bit messy, but I think it's to be expected, isn't it? So I'm going to take that off. There we go. Pop on our polishing wheel. Apparently we don't use water for the polishing wheel. There we go. We just use the actual polish itself. So there are other things on the market for polishing resin, but I've had really good results with this. What I need to do though is turn the machine around just to make it a bit easier, so then I've got the actual area facing me here, so I can work with it a bit easier. Don't want to be going on the sides here, it has to be on this part of the wheel. Well, as always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, and to all our subs. If you haven't subbed, hit that button, it's free, help the channel grow. Okay, so for this, I think what I'm going to need to do is coat the outside of the wheel with this stuff first. Just massage that in. And this does dry pretty quick, so I'm probably going to have to go on with a couple more coats. I don't want this stuff flicking everywhere. And just massage as much as I can in so it's not going to spray all over my studio. And then click that back on. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this bracket. I think I'm just doing it wrong. I think I need to lift it up, line it up there, then push it down. That's better. So I think this was probably the most enjoyable part. I'm just checking it as I go, and it really is therapeutic. But you don't want to hold it in one place for too long because it will kind of friction burn the surface of your resin. Yuck. But yeah, it's really good. Okay, I'm gonna have to clean this after every use. It's gonna bug me if I keep that like that on my desk. It's gonna really bug me. So what I'm gonna do now is just give that a spray down with some water onto some tissue and just see what we've got. It's only a couple of minutes, I think. Okay, so I mean, I'm really impressed. If you look around the edges, so what I did, I paid more attention to the edges than what I did in the middle. You can see those quite deep scratches from when I started off with the coarse sandpaper, but where I was focused so much on the outside, I didn't really focus on the middle, so I could have buffed those out a bit better as I worked down. But I mean, it is really impressive. It's not as glossy as the front, maybe, but it's done a really good job. I could spend more time on that and get that even better. But yeah, I'm really impressed with that. And it's only gone down 1 bar on the battery, which is really good. So it does pack quite a charge. And what I'm also loving is they've kept with the aesthetics of the other equipment, like the debubbling machine and the new mixer. You've got that really nice baby blue with that kind of rose gold kind of metallic areas. It's plastic, I think. I don't want to scratch it, but could be metal actually. It's really nice. It really does the job. So there's a couple of inbuilt safety features in this. If you get an H on the display, it means it's too hot, so you need to let it cool down for a couple of minutes. I haven't had that through this entirety of the video, not had one display. There is another symbol as well, which I'm going to have to look up because I've forgotten now. P. So that is basically if you're applying too much pressure, too much friction, it's a safety feature. It will just cut out the motor. So just turn it off, turn it back on again, and it should reset. So you don't want to burn out that motor. But again, I've not experienced anything with that so far in this video. So I've gone rummaging through my drawers of many pieces that I've made over the years I've been making YouTube videos, and this one I always said to myself, oh, I'll finish that up, I'll make sure that I bring it to a shine. So I'm basically going to work through again the sandpapers and buffing wheel just to see if I can bring this up to a better finish. Now you'll see I didn't even bother with the sandpaper. I went straight to the wheel, and yeah, after just maybe 2 minutes, there are some scuffs there. I think that bit there was an issue with the actual effect that I was doing. It kind of come too far through. There are some deeper scuffs there, but I just wanted to see. I mean, just with the wheel alone, that's a huge difference, massively, and it's really therapeutic. I'm quite enjoying it. I'll take it home. I'm thinking of different things that I want to polish with it now. I want to try my wedding ring. This is silver. It's not gold plated. With gold plated, what's going to happen is it's going to wear your plating off. So don't go doing things like that. I just want to see how well my wedding ring comes up. Oh, Mrs. Cooper's going to kill me if this goes wrong. Oh dear. I mean, after just a couple of minutes. That's insane. It's our wedding anniversary tomorrow, so why not renew the ring? That's really shiny. Now this kind of yellowed, yucky hardware bezel. We're only cheap anyway, but I want to see if we can kind of get rid of that. Yeah, I'd say that is as good as it was when I got it out the packet. Okay, so I mean, I've used this for quite a while, and yeah, it's still showing some battery. It's all flashing again. My screen, the refresh rate is it's kind of making everything look like it's flashing. But yeah, I mean, the battery life is really, really good. But again, you've got that ability to run it with the DC cord. It's not hot. It's warm, but it's not hot. Yeah, it's really good. And the best thing is my hands aren't suffering. I mean, sometimes where I've spent a long day filming and I've had to do a lot of sanding, I struggle for days afterwards. Stay still. Stay. Yeah, and my hands are fine. Absolutely fine. No aching, no cramps, no nothing. So yeah, I think it's just getting used to something different. I mean, circular motions as you're doing it. It's yeah, look at that. And again, you've got that ability to use it as a handheld, so you could you know do coasters easily. It's not the kind of equipment machine tech that you could use for, say, a river table. I mean, that's just it's not gonna you need a proper orbital sander for that. But this for stuff that we do, small resin coasters, jewelry, and even just polishing up old bits that you've had in the drawers and they've got scratched, is really ideal. It really is. So I think my first time using something like this, pros and cons. I mean, there's quite a lot of pros. Cons, my only thing would be, I mean, but it's to be expected. It's a little bit of mess. It kind of flicked in places, but you saw that I kind of got used to spraying with my hand covering it. You could find other ways of doing it, I suppose. It did flick off a bit of mess, but it's to be expected with something that's spinning at that kind of speed. I mean, I tried it on full speed and I just couldn't. Yeah, it really does go. my only real concern is this vent here. It's, if anything splashes up and flies up and goes in there, I think it could be an issue, but we can't really cover it. So I think, like I said earlier in the video, maybe somehow in the future with different kind of upgrades, maybe is just protect that vent a little bit more. Maybe, I don't know. It could have some kind of IP. No, it does. It clearly says there, no liquids. That's the only thing, really. And maybe if you're using it as a handheld, device, you are covering that vent, but then I suppose we've got this one up here and up here that the heat can release from. So is that one even necessary if we've got two there? I mean, heat rises, that's the thing. If it needs to be that way up, maybe we need a vent somewhere else. I don't know. That's my only concern, really. And if they are going to keep good stock of the replacement pads, because you don't want to go out buying something like this and then struggle to get, say, another one of these. Or it does say to contact them directly if you do need replacements. So yeah, I mean, other than that, what I'd also like to see as well is maybe replacement bases, because after a while, if these suction pads, if anything happens to them, you don't want to go out buying a whole new machine just for one of these. So I'd like to see Let's Resin also supplying these, because if something goes wrong with this, I think this could be a little bit flimsy over time if you're heavy-handed. I don't know, but other than that, I think it's, for a first experience, it's really easy to use. Again, I'll pop Let's Resin video in the description box below. But yeah, as always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is it something that you'd try? I think it's about $100. I'm not sure if it's available in the UK yet, but I know it will be. I just think it's really simple and easy to use. And it's going to save me a lot of aggro with my hands and time, really. And to have this set up next to my other equipment and just a couple of pushes of a button, I can quickly sand a piece or polish it. it's ideal for me. So yeah, let me know what you think, and as always, hit that sub button. I will see you for the next one. But look at that, such a big difference. Bye for now.